Yeah. So
Yes,
are you all able to see my screen?
yes, sir. Yes,
Yes, sir,
visible.
visible, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for a wonderful morning. Good morning to all the faculty members and the students. So
मुलं
before,
दाखवा सर जोशी सर सरांना कॅमेऱ्यामध्ये. Okay, you can proceed, sir.
yeah, thank you. So before I start with the presentation, I would like to brief everyone that how I have structured the presentation. So I have ensured that the entire presentation is in a story format rather than in a very typical narrative one. And rather than keeping it generic, I have tried to imbibe as much of examples, or it will be more like a storytelling, so that uh, students, you would enjoy hearing it rather than the conventional way where you have a presentation going on. I would have been really more fortunate if I would have got an in-person appointment, but due to COVID norms, we have this online meeting. So I would be spending around 3 to 4 minutes on each of my presentation, and so that is around approximately 40 minutes. And I would like to, at the end of the session, have some questions from the students as well as the faculty members. I have anyway gathered few questions which I feel I should answer as part of the presentation. So yeah, so with that, I would complete it in 30 to 40 minutes time and then give it open for questions. Yeah, with that, I'm moving on to my first slide. So what is that? It is a desire that becomes an entrepreneur. And I have taken three prominent personalities who everyone would be aware. First is Bill Gates. It's fine to celebrate success, but it's more important to heed the lessons of failure. Which means when you start your entrepreneurship journey, especially, you have to be ready for both the success and the failure you come across as part of the your journey. It cannot be that you will be always successful, you will always have failures, but it is a combination of both aspects. So that's the reason I have taken Bill Gates' statement. Albert Einstein said that a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. When I started my journey, I was not sure how successful I will be, what kind of products I would be working on, what kind of marketing I will get into. But you have to be ready in case there is a mistake or you feel though the plan has not worked out. Still, you have to try and succeed as part of entrepreneurship. And most importantly, the third point, which Winston Churchill had said, success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Now, it is very essential that you have to be very persistent with what kind of line of business you have taken. Irrespective of the fact there could be a setback, it could not go as per plan. See, I came up from a background where I really didn't have experience of business. As you must have heard in my profile also, I have come from a very middle class family where everybody, they are a little job oriented than business oriented as part of a thinking. So you have to be persistent, irrespective of things go your way or it doesn't go your way. So that is one key aspect every entrepreneur should look into before venturing into any kind of business. So that is one essential, point which I wanted to. So these are the three important presentation personalities I felt I should get to the students as part of a really motivation factor, that there are people whom we have seen and who have given us that spark to get into entrepreneurship. There are many of those, so you have to look at them and take uh, the statement in that sense. With that, I'll move on to the next slide, the beginning. So how did it begin for me? For me, it started, a new chapter in life. I was very settled and doing very well with my work profile. And as you know, I come from a very commercial background where I being a company secretary, I was more a auditor background rather than a business background. But then when I started doing it, when I decided to come here as part of taking a plunge into business field, I found that it was really difficult for me because I was getting into a product line or a business format which was new to me entirely. So I took it as a challenge, and I came in as part of uh, getting into business. The second aspect when the beginning begins is the financial stability. So I was under a impression that you have to leave a salary based uh, job and come into business where everything is in a contingent way, where you have to really understand how things will move on for you. So it was a new uh, beginning for me, and I was not sure how much of financial stability will come into account. And that is how I started, just to take a chance on how it will move forward. The third aspect that fascinated me was international exposure. So the company I wanted to work for, I wanted to have an international exposure, and I felt that if my company, so the company which I work for, the parent company is in the US, and the wholly owned subsidiary is in Nasik. And I felt this would be a great opportunity for me to get an international exposure for my own company rather than working for a company outside. So that is what fascinated me to start my own entrepreneurship. So I was working there, and then my brother was having a company in the US, and he asked me to register it, in India. So that is where I got into, and I did the incorporation. I got the entire facility ready, the production moving, recruitment of team. All these aspects came into my facet, and believe me, when you start your own entrepreneurship, you get into a mode of getting a multifaceted skill set. It usually happens that we as individuals feel that, for example, if you're a technical person, you feel only you can do technical job. If you do a commercial job, you feel only commercial. But when you do your own business, you that is when you come to know the real challenges, the real kind of work you have to put into to run a company. So your skill set becomes a multifaceted role rather than to an individual role. So that is where your real growth take place. And as I said, the next aspect is any role of, entrepreneurship is all about how passionate you are to take up your own business. Definitely, initially it is challenging, but as you move forward with that kind of a challenge, it becomes more rewarding. It is more rewarding in terms of motivation, in terms of remuneration, in terms of all aspects of your life. So my beginning was a little difficult. It was not very easy, and but these were the four parameters that were really moving on into my mind when I started launching my own company here in India. Right. With that, I'm moving on to the next slide. The challenges. So, see, challenges again is at every aspect of whatever you do. Now, for students, it will be a challenging aspect for whatever course you're pursuing or whatever future aspirations you have. Similarly, when I started my business, the major problem or a challenge, I would say, I belong to a very auditor and a very commercial kind of background. So it started with, first thing was a technical product which we had to launch. So the way of addressing that problem was that I used to really sit with the technical guys, try to understand the product, how you could market it, try to understand what features could be promoted as part of that product. So that was the first challenge I faced. I really had to understand the product in order to market that product. So that was the first challenge I faced when I took over the entrepreneurship aspect. The second is handling team diversity. Uh, Whenever you start your own business, the second aspect comes to your mind is having a good team. And especially when you take over a company and you take charge of a company as a leadership level, you have to understand there would be various level skill set across across the team, and it becomes very difficult to manage resources because few of them would be senior to you and you're taking on as a leader, few of them will be very junior to you. You have to give them a lot of skills, lot of guidance is required. So here I really faced a lot of challenges because I when I took over the managers and they were little senior level, so I had to handle them at a different level of understanding. And there were a new team, which set of team which I had to recruit, and I had to provide them training on how to market the products, how they should go about talking to the customers. So that was the second challenge I came across, which is very essential as an entrepreneurship to handling the diverse team. Third aspect is, I think everybody knows, paisa nahi to kuch bhi nahi, right? It is like that. So if you don't have an adequate working capital, it is difficult to rotate the money and rotate and get the kind of business you want, because very often you have to initially pull in a lot of your own funding to ensure that you get the kind of continuous orders, continuous supply of materials, ensure that the payment comes in time. So working capital challenge was a very big challenge, and it is something you when you start your business, you have to really take care of that. You have a good understanding about it, because if that doesn't work, it is difficult to carry on the business. Then competition from existing vendors. So now here I would like to put two examples on how it, very often हम लोग देखते हैं, movies में भी देखते हैं, but यही सच है कि new entrepreneurs, when they start the business and you want to launch into the market, the existing vendors, they don't really allow you to do that. And I have I wanted to share a couple of real-time examples here. So the first thing is, it was in my previous company where we wanted to sell sell our products to one of the very prominent institution here, and it so happened that that dealer, he came up to us and he said, see, I have been supplying here for 15 years, so you don't come in between and supply it. This happens for where you get that kind of challenges. We only watch in हम लोग देखते हैं हिंदी मूवीज में भी कि लोग आते हैं, बोलते हैं कि सर मैं यहाँ इतने दिन से सप्लाई कर रहा हूँ and all that stuff, but it really happened with us. And then in that scenario, what we did was we went directly to the customer and we explained that, listen, we are a manufacturer, we are not a dealer or a distributor, and you would get a very good cost and price and also a kind of warranty that would be expected from a manufacturer. And it so happened that the institution also agreed to take us as a manufacturer supplier. But very often I have this happens that the existing vendor, it doesn't allow you to sell products, and he goes to an extent that he also met the head of that institution. He also tried his level best that we should not supply that. However, it cannot happen that every time you have so much of bureaucracy that would win. So it was a win-win position for me when we could supply that. The second aspect is there was one again supplier or a vendor who within our jurisdiction had come and who directly approached us, and he said, listen, you have to supply it only to me and you cannot supply it directly to the vendors. That kind of thing also happens where they try to forcefully ask you to sell it to a particular company rather than selling it to direct customers. So these aspects or challenges are really something you should take into account, that challenges would come. जो मूवीज में दिखाते हैं, हमको लगता है काफी हद तक कि नहीं नहीं ये ऐसा नहीं है यार, ऐसा नहीं है, बट काफी हद तक वो कुछ फ्रिक्शन होता है, कुछ सही भी होता है. So if you ask me, yes, I have faced that kind of issues and challenges, and I would like to share that. And that was the reason I gave those examples to you, that you have to be ready to have the cutthroat competition from the existing vendors. वो कहते हैं ना कि जो नया आया उसको दबाने की कोशिश जरूर होती है, और अच्छा प्रोडक्ट आप देते हो तो भी आपको चैलेंजेस फेस करने पड़ते हैं. अगर irrespective of the fact whatever establishment you have to have this motive very correct. Second, the next is price competition. Now ये काफी हमने सुना है कि initially अभी if it has reduced, but we had a stiff competition on the pricing part, especially from China. China क्या करता है, China काफी सारे प्रोडक्ट्स इंडिया को जब सप्लाई करते हैं तो एज पार्ट ऑफ एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटीज वो काफी चीजों को कम कॉस्ट में देते हैं, और काफी सारे लोग उसका एडवांटेज लेके दे गिव the same quality of or lesser quality of the product at a lesser price. So the end consumer feels that he is getting the same product at a lesser price. तो हमें ये काफी प्रॉब्लम हुई थी, क्योंकि कैसा होता है कि once you become a existing supplier to a particular customer, आपको ब्रेक करने के लिए वो डीलर्स या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स जो भी आपके कॉम्पिटिटर्स हैं वो डेफिनेटली कम प्राइस में देंगे, बट क्वालिटी अच्छा नहीं रहेगा या चाइना गुड्स रहेगा. हमें काफी चाइना गुड्स से प्रॉब्लम हुआ था, और लकीली अब विद द मोदी गवर्नमेंट इन इट्स मच मोर इजी नाउ, बट हमें काफी स्टिफ कंपटीशन था चाइना के प्रोडक्ट से, अभी भी है, क्योंकि वो एंटी डंपिंग में इंडिया में सिर्फ they keep on dumping products. So being the kind of class of products we are in, we have a very stiff competition and price becomes very sensitive. मतलब अगर मेरा प्रोडक्ट 15,000 है तो चाइना 8,000 में देता है. It is that kind of problem. But yes, we have survived and we have ensured that we win the war on basis of quality, which we have ensured, with all our customers also. The final challenge is hiring of employees. See, जब आप एंटरप्रेन्योर बनते हो, जितना अच्छा आपका टीम बनता है उतना अच्छा आप लीडर बनते हो. अगर अच्छी टीम नहीं रही तो अच्छी लीडरशिप आप नहीं कर पाओगे. इट इज लाइक व्हेन यू लुक एट अदर kind of business also, any business that has come up, it should have good employees. So hiring of employees is very important, as you have to get the right skill set for the right job. अगर आप प्रोडक्शन के लिए लेते हो तो उसको टेक्निकल नॉलेज अच्छा होना चाहिए, और जो मार्केटिंग के लिए उसको द स्किल सेट ऑफ कन्विंसिंग द कस्टमर्स और टॉकिंग शुड बी वेरी कन्विंसिंग. तो ये एक चैलेंज है कि आपको अच्छे एम्प्लॉइज रिक्रूट करने हैं, और कभी कभी ये भी होता है कि being a smaller city like Nasik, हमें वो kind of skill set काफी हमें ढूंढ के it should fit that role. तो ये सब चीजें are challenging aspect of entrepreneurship, which I have faced as part of when I started my journey to entrepreneurship. Failures and roadblocks. So आप देखेंगे यहाँ पे मैंने स्लाइड में भी लिखा है, every goal has a roadblock. तो आप जो भी whatever kind of goal you have, definitely it will have some failures and roadblocks. I'll just talk over it. So the first is fundraising for a bulk order. तो काफी बार ये होता है कि when you get a bulk order, you have to have a fundraising problem. You have to ensure that you have the adequate working capital to execute that bulk order. ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है. अचानक से एक बड़ा ऑर्डर आ गया 20 लाख 25 लाख या ये, तो यू हैव टू रियली manage your resources and get that fundraising from the bank or private resources, whatever. So that is what is a biggest roadblock I felt as part of the kind of business I was working on. The second is losing out to a poor quality. जैसे मैंने बोला कि चाइना, हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स अच्छे हैं और प्राइसिंग भी कॉम्पिटिटिव रखी है, पर जस्ट बिकॉज कोई पुअर क्वालिटी का प्रोडक्ट दे देता है और ये कर प्रमोट करता है, तो कंपैरिजन में प्राइसिंग डेफिनेटली हिट टेक्स अ हिट. सो दैट इज व्हाट losing on to a poor quality is a biggest problem. Next is on delay in payment of supply. So working capital में देखिए सबसे बड़ा अभी यहाँ मैं बोलता हूँ कि एज अ एंटरप्रेन्योर आपको बिजनेस चलाना है, तो आप क्या करते हो कि हाँ चलो फटाफट ऑर्डर्स एग्जीक्यूट किया, डिलीवरी दे दिया, बट देयर इज अ कंसिडरेबल डिले फ्रॉम कस्टमर्स टू गिव यू द पेमेंट्स. So you have to have that buffer to carry on the business. It cannot happen that आप जैसा एक set mind में आप चला नहीं सकते business कि ऐसे होगा तो मुझे immediate payment मिलेगा, ऐसा नहीं होता है. You have to give a 30 to 60 days credit term to customers depending on orders. Sometimes they say 30 days, they give it in 90 days, 120 days भी हो जाता है. So that is a very big roadblock क्योंकि आपको उस टाइम पे see you have your operating cost of business, you have your salary, you have so many things that you want to carry forward as part of business. So those aspects needs to be taken into account. जो हमें काफी delay in payments के जैसे problem होता है और उसे हमें overcome करना ही पड़ता है. सबसे next is on the brand establishment. तो आप जो भी स्टार्टिंग में जब आप कोई भी प्रोडक्ट स्टार्ट करोगे और व्हेन यू डिसाइड दैट यस दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप और काइंड ऑफ बिजनेस आई वांट टू गेट इनटू, you have to understand that it will take some time for brand establishment. It cannot happen that you can just go and sell your product. नहीं. And काफी बार people or the customers they also ask कि कहाँ सप्लाई किया है, कितना सप्लाई किया है, आपका प्रोडक्ट चलता है क्या, ये सारे क्वेश्चंस आपको पूछे जाएंगे और काफी डिफिकल्ट रहेगा क्योंकि फर्स्ट टाइम आप जब प्रोडक्ट सप्लाई करते हो तो यू हैव टू कन्विंस द कस्टमर दैट दिस इज द राइट प्रोडक्ट, राइट क्वालिटी एंड राइट प्राइस, और तब जाके आपका ब्रांड एस्टेब्लिशमेंट होता है. काफी बार हमने ऑर्डर्स इसके लिए भी लूज किए क्योंकि हम नए थे और हमारे पास टेस्टिमोनियल्स नहीं थे कस्टमर्स की. बट एज वी मूव फॉरवर्ड एक ब्रांड एस्टेब्लिशमेंट होने के बाद ही हमें वो रोड ब्लॉक पार कर पाए हम. सो दैट इज वेयर द फेलियर्स एंड रोड ब्लॉक्स कम. एंड एडिंग न्यू कस्टमर्स, सी इट इज ये प्रोडक्ट द काइंड ऑफ फार्मास्यूटिकल प्रोडक्ट वी मेक and the other line of product also which I worked earlier, it is not a retail product, it is a pharmaceutical product. It has a limit demand that is not generated every month. So adding new customers also is a challenge and is a failure. At times हम नए customers add नहीं कर पाए तो फिर काफी बार sales go down. So that also is a roadblock and failure that you would face. कि बहुत difficult लगता है कभी कभी महीने हमें customers, नए customers orders नहीं आते हैं. So you have to wait for the opportunity to come and then it clicks on for you. So next is think differently for success. अगर आपको एक successful entrepreneur बनना है, you have to start thinking differently. It cannot be the conventional way. Break the competition. So the competition को break करने के लिए entrepreneurs don't accept things the way they are. तो हमने क्या किया था यहाँ, when we started our line of business, we started doing a lot of conducting customer discovery programs. कस्टमर डिस्कवरी प्रोग्राम जहां मैंने के वाक में भी हमने 2 या 3 सेशंस किए थे, जहां हम खुद जाके सेमिनार प्रोग्राम्स किया हमने फॉर द फैकल्टी मेंबर्स, गिविंग नॉलेज अबाउट इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन एज वेल एज द प्रोडक्ट, बोथ इन टैंडम. तो हमने थोड़ा अलग सोचा कि रादर देन कस्टमर हमारे पास आने से अच्छा हम कस्टमर के पास चलते हैं और उनको बताते हैं कि हमारा प्रोडक्ट क्या है. rather than the conventional way where you start have a marketing setup and all those. तो हमने काफी सारे institutions cover किए, काफी सारे customers को in person visits किए, customer discovery programs किया कि आपके pain points क्या है. So that is where the customer also started feeling कि यार ये थोड़ा अलग है in terms of presentation, in terms of approach. So that is where we started breaking the competition. हमारे जो बाकी के जैसे अभी एक और इंस्टेंस बोलता हूँ, हमारा जब वेंडर रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ तो हम जब जाते हैं तो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स भी होते हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स भी होते हैं, तो उनको भी पता है, तो दे आस्क कि व्हाट एडिशनल थिंग यू विल गिव देन अ कन्वेंशनल डीलर. So I would say yes, I would give you extra warranty, I would give you extra programs where I could conduct in-house sessions for your employees. So that is where we broke the competition and became a game changer. हमने अपने instrumentation में we were the first ones to come with the kind of product we have. अभी भी जो हम pharmaceutical industry में लाया है हमने, it is a substitute to C18 silica, जो भी material हम करते हैं, it became a game changer in the market, and that is what we did a lot of R&D and improved it to the satisfaction of the customer. So it became a game changer for us. The next is change your thinking. So एक सबसे बड़ा एस्पेक्ट आपको सोचना चाहिए जब आप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए डिसाइड करोगे कि लोग क्या सोचेंगे. अरे लोग क्या सोचेंगे? अगर आप अच्छा करोगे, आपके लिए करोगे, आप लोगों के लिए नहीं कर रहे हो, राइट? यू आर डूइंग अ बिजनेस और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप company for your own sake. Very often when you start very small, that feeling comes to you that I'm still not reaching the point I want to reach. वो काफी starting point में काफी वो feelings, emotions आते हैं, but you have to move forward with that, because if you start changing your thinking that yes, this is what I want to do and this is the conviction I have, then you should not think about what others are thinking about you. You have to go ahead with, and there are people who would also try to negate you by saying that the kind of product is not, there are many products in the market, it is difficult to sustain, you cannot sell those products. ये बहुत आता है, market से भी आता है, आजू बाजू लोगों से भी आता है, but if you are focused on what you believe, you can definitely progress. ये आप याद रखो. Then focus on your goal and accomplishment instead of focusing on doing what they see right necessary to accomplish their goals. Like you have to ensure आपका जो goals है वो आप meet करो. लोग तो बोलते रहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना. So you don't have to worry about it. Just focus on your goal and move forward. You would become successful on basis of your own conviction. So what is the quality? So now I have given here two important quotes if you look at it. So success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. विल्स्टन चर्चिल का ये बहुत ही फेमस फ्रेज है ये कि see it cannot be that success अगर यहाँ चढ़ गया तो then it becomes very difficult to really prosper, and failure is not fatal. Like end नहीं है, अगर आप fail भी हो जाते हो entrepreneurship में, it is not the end of the life. You should have the courage to continue with the kind of failures you have faced, and then only you will be successful. So you have to understand these things, that every time it cannot go your way, it cannot go the other way also. So the first quality that is essential as an entrepreneur for success is curiosity. You should, I was very curious to know about the product. Although I was from a commercial background, मुझे ये समझना था कि इसको मैं मार्केट कैसे करूँ, how do I understand the product, and I went ahead and understood and did the kind of curiosity level को increase करके समझना is very important. Structured experimentation, आप जो भी काम करो उसको you have to take into account introspected what kind of opportunity you have, what kind of failure you could have, and you have to adapt to that. So adaptability is the next quality you should have as a successful entrepreneur. Decisiveness, the faster you decide, the faster you can move forward. टीम बिल्डिंग, मैं ऑलरेडी इस पे बोल चुका हूँ कि यू शुड हैव अ गुड टीम टू मूव फॉरवर्ड. Next is risk tolerance, like you should be able to take risk and ensure that you mitigate that risk by working hard on it. And you have to get comfortable with failure. See, there cannot be a point where आप fail नहीं होगे, आप definitely होगे, but you should be ready for it. You should be comfortable with the failure. And the next quality to overcome it is persistence. Like you have to be persistent enough to have a successful entrepreneurship. Okay, what were the lessons learned? मेरे लिए था कि मैं like I said, मैं आप लोगों के जैसे ही एक मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से आया था. मुझे बिजनेस करना था, और ये मैं कॉलेज डेज से ही करना चाहता था. बट आफ्टर गेटिंग माय प्रोफेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन, मुझे लाइक एवरीवन आई हैड टू गो फॉर अ जॉब. मैं काफी टाइम जॉब में रहा, 10 साल रहा. उसके बाद मेरा पैशन था कि मैं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप लूं. इसके लिए मैं वापस आया. Believe me, I was in a very good shape. I worked for TCS, I worked for HCL, and I was in a topmost position there also. And it was not that मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम था वहां, इसलिए मैं यहाँ आया एक एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के लिए. बट क्योंकि इट वाज माय ड्रीम टू बिकम ए एंटरप्रेन्योर, सो वो पैशन को लेके मैं आगे बढ़ा. And अपना जॉब छोड़ के I came back to Nasik. I started my own company with my brother, and that is how we got a lot of success. But ये है कि you should follow your passion. Learning must be continuous. मेरे हर एक कंपनी में मेरी प्रोफाइल जो थी बहुत अलग थी. और एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में भी अलग अलग प्रोडक्ट्स पे आप डाइवर्सिफाई करते हो एक लेवल के बाद. तो आपके लिए ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप अपने आप को एक यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट you have to start learning each of those products or the kind of business you want to get into. So it should be a continuous flow. It cannot stop at a point. अभी भी जो हमारा मटेरियल है उसके अलावा भी हम we are looking at a diversified market, trying to learn new things, trying to venture into a new market. So those things go on as part of it. Like I said, expect failures. I again stress on this because all the startup companies, even for that matter, आपको पता होगा Infosys में भी पहले 9 पार्टनर्स थे जिन्होंने वो स्टार्ट किया था, एंड देन इट वेंट टू जब नारायण मूर्ति ने उसको सक्सेसफुल बनाया, उसके पहले तक Infosys also was struggling big time. It was only in the 80s or 85 उन्होंने really pick up किया बिजनेस. ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है कि आप आते ही आपका प्रोडक्ट चलने लगे, ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है. यू हैव टू वेट एंड एक्सपेक्ट फेलियर एंड ओवरकम दैट. ट्रस्ट योरसेल्फ. द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट इज, देखिए वो कहते हैं ना, सेल्फ बिलीफ इज योर बिलीफ. उसको मैं मानता हूं. अगर आप ये बिलीव करके चलो कि यस आई ट्रस्ट माई सेल्फ एंड द काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट, द काइंड ऑफ मार्केट आई हैव गॉट इनटू, देन इट बिकम्स वेरी सक्सेसफुल फॉर अस. नहीं तो आप अगर अपने आप को ट्रस्ट नहीं करोगे तो आप आगे नहीं बढ़ोगे. Build a great team. I always stress on that. You have to start identifying people who can take roles in your team and ensure it goes forward. Right? The next is just do it. I always feel that you should just go and achieve whatever you want to as part of entrepreneurship, and always look forward. It should at various phases of entrepreneurship, मैंने ये एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आज अगर कुछ डिड नॉट वर्क वेल फॉर मी, यू हैव टू कम आउट ऑफ इट एज अर्ली एज पॉसिबल. अगर आप ये सोचते जाओगे कि नहीं ये मेरे लिए ठीक से नहीं हो रहा है, इट इज नॉट वर्किंग द काइंड ऑफ कंपनी, देन इट विल मूव फॉरवर्ड, इट विल नॉट मूव फॉरवर्ड. रिस्क, जैसे फाइनेंशियल रिस्क होते हैं, सो यहाँ मैंने डिफाइन किया है कि रिस्क क्या है और हाउ इट इज taken into. आप अगर स्लाइड पे देखोगे, see it is showing here, recognize the hazards, inform others, solve the problem, know how to improve, and victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. So ऐसा अगर हम देखेंगे कि problems में हमें opportunity भी देख सकते हैं, then it becomes easy to identify risk and opportunity both. So there could be a financial risk because you have to have a financial stability of moving your operating cost and your salary together as part of business. There is a technology risk. अभी technology risk में क्या है कि हम जो products बनाते हैं बहुत जल्दी उसमें changes भी लाना पड़ता है. अगर आप वो changes नहीं लाते हो तो आप outdated हो जाते हो. So you know that आप लोग, मैं भी जब कॉलेज में था, आप लोग नोकिया मोबाइल जानते हो. It became a overnight bankrupt, right? Because they were not able to change to smartphones. So that technology risk, even in our field, even in the kind of pharmaceutical industry we have to look at the other competitors and also find out what R&D goes on there. ये आपके बिजनेस के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि आप अपने आप को अपडेटेड रखो कोई भी टेक्नोलॉजी रिस्क में. और फिर ये जो है कॉम्पिटिटिव रिस्क, रेपुटेशनल रिस्क इज अबाउट, आपको हमेशा ये रहेगा कि अगर मेरी प्रोडक्ट नहीं चली और अगर इनिशियल एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं मिला कस्टमर से, सो हाउ विल आई मार्केट द प्रोडक्ट. देयर आर मेनी प्रोडक्ट्स दैट आर गुड, बट अगर आपका रेपुटेशनल प्रेजेंस नहीं बन पाया तो लोग लेते नहीं हैं आपके प्रोडक्ट्स. सो दैट बिकम्स अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट सिनेरियो टू प्रमोट योर प्रोडक्ट. The next is the sales execution. See, हर महीने आपको आपके टारगेट्स अचीव करने पड़ते हैं, आपको आपका गोल अचीव करना पड़ता है. So that is around the sales execution risk. I always feel the more you look into it, the better prospect you can get for your working capital. आपको आपका ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट निकालना है, एम्प्लॉइज का सैलरी निकालना है, your own, so these kind of risks really play on very critical. So you have to identify the risk and opportunity both. की इसमें सेल्स में एक और है, अगर आप ज्यादा उसमें हार्ड वर्क करोगे या प्रॉपरली मार्केट को स्ट्रेटेजिकली अप्रोच करोगे, so you will have a better sales and a better remuneration to cover up the company. So that is where you have to ensure that you identify risk and opportunity both within the span of the role you are doing. So conclusion, what I have learned. So entrepreneurship can be viewed as a recognizing change. देखिए पहले even for me or even people who come up not from a non-business background, मुझे काफी बार ऐसा लगा कि ये चेंज हो रहा है अभी इंडिया. The young college going people or the middle class or not so having a business background, they have started their journey and they have made it big to the forum. And I feel that recognizing change and opportunity with risk and responsibility, if you're ready to take that risk and responsibility, you will definitely be successful. The next is innovating. Of course, like I said, your product needs to be more and more innovative, so that जैसे कहते हैं ना, मार्केट को क्या चाहिए और कैसा चाहिए, आपका कोई भी प्रोडक्ट हो, अगर आप वो समझ पाए तो डेफिनेटली यू विल हैव द अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज टू गेन दैट कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ द मार्केट, एंड इट क्रिएट्स अ न्यू वैल्यू फॉर योर कंपनी. आपका कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन बढ़ेगा अगर आप नए टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन के साथ you get into the market and doing it all over again and again. So you have to understand that there should be a lot of persistence in your attitude as part of the journey. It cannot happen कि मैंने थोड़ा कर लिया and I leave it. No, you have to be persistent to continue that motivation. Yeah, so ये आपने देखा होगा, everybody knows धीरूभाई अंबानी का मैंने इसलिए डाला था कि उनका जो स्टेटमेंट मैंने देखा, डोंट गिव अप, करेज इज माय कन्विक्शन. सो it when Reliance in the 80s, or when they went into the lockdown situation and Dhirubhai was made convicted for the kind of problems Reliance went into, the only thing he said, don't give up, courage is my conviction. So आपका जो स्ट्रेंथ है, आपका जो कॉन्फिडेंस है, आपका जो कन्विक्शन है, वो आपका है. Nobody can take it out. You may lose your money, you may lose your business, but you cannot lose your conviction. Right guys? Agar aap there are few factors that you cannot control, but ye jo cheez hai, giving up, having your courage, having your conviction, having your strength, that is what speaks for being entrepreneurship. It is not about only carrying on the business, working capital, that is separate. What is your conviction, how you want to carry forward your business? It is your courage that gives you that kind of a that kind of a business. uh, so always remember why you started your business. मैंने काफी सोचा कि ये line of business क्यों लिया हम लोगों ने, and the way you get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So बातें कम, काम ज्यादा. That is what I wanted to stress on. आप जितना भी बोल लो, ultimately it comes to your actions. आप जो भी बनना चाहते हो, with any kind of entrepreneurship you want to pursue, you have to start the beginning somewhere and have a strong conviction for that. I have also put a Walt Disney का एक मैंने वहां ये phrase रखा है, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Like I said, all your dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them and the conviction. And Robert Schuffler का एक है कि tough times never last long but tough people do, which means कितने भी आपके जिंदगी में tough times आए, you have to overcome those things. You obstacles आएंगे, आपको problems आएंगी, आपका working capital नहीं होगा, आपको competition भी आएगा, but you have to understand कि ज्यादा दिन तक, जैसे मैंने बोला, हमें काफी सारे डीलर्स से, वेंडर्स से बहुत challenges आए. मार्केट को तोड़ने के लिए हमने जी तोड़ कोशिश की हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स को मार्केट करने के लिए, और आज they have got stabilized, where we feel that we have done a good job, हमारा quality has been accepted by the customers. तो ये है कि tough times, they are not always everlasting, they have to stop at some time. So that you have to understand and move forward in the line of business you want to carry forward, right? So yes, so I this is what I had. मैंने so students, मुझे पता है कि शायद आप लोगों को मैं कितना ये कर पाया, इन्वॉल्व कर पाया, ये तो मुझे being in this meeting I could not, but मैंने अपने तरफ से भी, as अगर मैं जब 10-15 साल पहले मैं भी स्टूडेंट ही था, तो मैंने भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस अपने लिए निकाले हैं कि जो आप लोग को पूछना है तो आप प्लीज पूछिए मुझसे, बट अगर नहीं है तो I have also made a list of questions which I feel could not be covered as part of presentation due to the time constraint. I think we have with that 40 minutes presentation, 3 मिनट मैंने रखा था, so I have ensured by 11:05 I have completed my presentation, and that is what I had as part of it. But I would still love to have a interaction with students in case they have any questions on any of those, and also feedback on how they felt as part of presentation, what aspects they felt and what questions they have. I would be happy to take questions. Mani sir and Rajesh sir, you're there?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yes, Piyush sir. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Dr. Gaurav Davre.
Yeah.
Nice presentation. Thank you. We'll move for the question answer.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions? And guys, I know you are on a Saturday, और आप लोग के बाकी plans भी होंगे, but I'm really happy to have an interaction with you. In case you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy. ये अगर in person होता तो मुझे और अच्छा लगता कि it's if it was a direct eye and eye contact and I could answer your questions, but I would be happy to take questions from you.
Anybody like to ask question? Yes, Akansha.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning.
I'm from BE Chemical.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, how are you so sure that you wanted to work in the pharmaceutical line?
Yeah. Sorry, can I get back your question? You're saying why I chose pharmaceutical line, is it?
Like,
Yes.
was it because of the scope, or it was something you wanted to do, or something?
No. See, I had not planned for pharmaceutical until my brother had already done some research on that in the US. And then so let me just give you brief background. Ours is a US based company, and we have been a federally recognized company in the US. मतलब हमें R&D के लिए, रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के लिए वहाँ की गवर्नमेंट की फंडिंग रहती है. So the product we were making that got successful. So the material which we made, that was getting as a substitute to C18 silica that is available currently in the market. So that triggered us that एक लेवल पे पहुंचने के बाद हमें ऐसे लगा कि ये कमर्शियल भी हो सकता है. So that is when we decided to get into pharmaceutical industry also as part of the manufacturing product. तो ऐसा नहीं था कि pharmaceutical ही बनाना था, but it happened that हमारा जो research चल रहा था वो successful हुआ, और फिर हमने full fledged pharmaceutical में ये product launch किया. Basically it is a chromatography product जो हम हैं, but वो pharma sector में ज़्यादा use होता है.
Okay.
और प्यूरिफिकेशन एंड सेपरेशन प्रोसेस. तो और ये जो हमने जब ये कंप्लीट किया, और आई थिंक ये यूएस में जब लॉन्च किया, तो हमें एक पिटकॉन एग्जीबिशन होता है, मतलब वहां पे 900 कंपनीज आई थी, और उस 900 कंपनीज में से हमें सिल्वर अवार्ड मिला. मतलब हम सेकंड आए. वी वर द ओनली इंडियन कंपनी टू बी इन द टॉप 3. और हमें जब सेकंड पोजीशन मिला, आप हमारे वेबसाइट में देखेंगे, हमें वहां प्रेस रिलीज भी मिला था यूएस में. उसके बाद हमने फुल फ्लेज उसमें कमर्शियलाइजेशन लाया. लॉट ऑफ लाइक 3 साल तो हमें उसमें से 1 से 1.5 साल तो सिर्फ R&D वो प्रोडक्ट बनाने में लगा हमें, बिफोर वी लॉन्च दैट प्रोडक्ट. So that is when we decided to go ahead and become a pharmaceutical industry full-fledged.
Okay, sir. And do you have a market reach in US as well?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat?
Sir, do you have a market in US as well?
Yeah. We have it in the US as well. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
all. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am Pankaj Shinde, and I want to ask, what are the initial challenges faced by the entrepreneur while having a startup?
Yeah, see, the biggest problem as an entrepreneur, I feel, is having adequate working capital for business, because हमने भी काफी डिफिकल्टी के साथ हमने अपना मतलब we had to really face lot of issues. क्योंकि क्या होता है इंडिया में अभी भी ये लोग the government promotes it as single window. ठीक है, सिंगल विंडो कुछ है नहीं. आपको इनकॉर्पोरेशन से लेके आपको फंडिंग तक खुद ही देखना पड़ता है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली यही सच है कि यू डोंट गेट द काइंड ऑफ इंसेंटिव्स यू डिजर्व. हमें पर्सनली ऐसे ही लगा और हम चला पाए क्योंकि हमारा यूएस फेडरल से था और हम हमें यहाँ पे भी उसी के ऊपर से हमने स्टार्ट किया। बट इनिशियल सो द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज द वर्किंग कैपिटल, सेकंड इज द गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट। आई डोंट नो, कभी कभी मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हम सही चैनल्स, शायद गवर्नमेंट के प्रमोशन आते हैं हम तक पहुंचते नहीं है, मुझे पता नहीं। बट मेरा पर्सनल फीलिंग यही है कि हमें गवर्नमेंट से तो कभी सपोर्ट इतना मिला नहीं जितना मिलना चाहिए था। आपको बता दूं, हम लोग ने अभी हाल ही में 1-2 महीने पहले एक कोविड किट लॉन्च किया है हम लोग ने, विच इज आरटीपीसीआर। ये यूएस का टेक्नोलॉजी हमने इंडिया में लाया है, बट स्टिल देयर इज सो मच ऑफ डिफिकल्टी इन गेटिंग द प्रमोशन। जैसे आईसीएमआर अप्रूवल्स हैं, काफी सारे चैलेंजेस हैं। सो वर्किंग कैपिटल, गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट, ये सब इतना मिलता नहीं है। आपको जो करना है खुद करना है। तो अगर आप मुझको पूछोगे कि सर मैं अगर छोटा एंटरप्रेनर हूं, मैं कैसे अपना बिजनेस सेटअप करूं, तो आई वुड से स्टार्ट इट एज अ प्रोप्राइटर पहले। मतलब आप एक इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे एक प्रोप्राइटरशिप फर्म खोलो, उसमें गेट इनटू अ प्रोडक्ट लाइन दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड वेल। अगर नहीं तो भी यू कैन लर्न दैट। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक प्रोडक्ट मतलब उसी में काम कर सकते हो, ऐसा नहीं है। आपको मार्केट समझना है और प्रोडक्ट का वो कैसे कितना बिकेगा, कैसे हाउ यू विल अप्रोच द कस्टमर्स, वो सब चीजें थोड़ा प्लानिंग करके स्टार्टेड एज अ प्रोप्राइटर। एंड एज यू गेट मोर एंड ऑल्सो हैव अ फिक्स्ड कस्टमर बेस कि ये मेरे कस्टमर्स होंगे जो मेरे से लेंगे। यू कैन डू अ कस्टमर डिस्कवरी, सो यू कैन गो टू देम, ask them what kind of, ये मेरा launch है, आप लोगे या what is your preference, and based on छोटे capital में चालू करो ज्यादा, and slowly you have a fixed customers where you can get a fixed orders and then you can move forward. So only then it is possible in India. ऐसा नहीं है कि you can just come over and start your, ये नहीं, बहुत काफी working capital, government support, even guidance in terms of ओवरऑल। मैं कंपनी सेक्रेटरी था तो मैं इनकॉर्पोरेशन कर पाया, अपने लाइसेंसेस खुद अप्लाई कर पाया, जो लाइसेंसेस लगते हैं इंडिया में। तो काफी कुछ चीजें उसमें डिफिकल्टीज आती हैं। सो आई वुड सजेस्ट you start it simple with a proprietor thing, and then you can move to a company level, private company, and then you can move on to a public company also if you want.
Thank you.
Any question?
So actually, how did you guys like the presentation? मुझे वो पूछना था आप लोग से। वहां रहता तो मैं one on one पूछता ही whether you liked the presentation। अगर मैंने कोशिश की थी काफी कि मैं ज्यादा थियोरेटिकल ना बनाऊं, टू द पॉइंट बोलूं और अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस जहां जहां हो सके शेयर करूं, वही मेरा ऑब्जेक्टिव था। क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है कि बीइंग अ स्टूडेंट, और वो भी ऑन अ सैटरडे, समटाइम्स स्टूडेंट्स को भी कुछ और रहेगा, इट इज लाइक आई वाज नॉट श्योर कि मैं चाहता था कि ऑडियंस को जितना इंग्रॉस कर सकूं करूं, तो उस हिसाब से ही मैंने अपना प्रेजेंटेशन वर्क किया था।
Yes, sir. It was very motivating. The quotes that you put in between Albert Einstein and many other Bill Gates and many other people, they were really motivating and it really inspired us as students. And we really look forward to be future entrepreneurs in the upcoming future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to thank on behalf of EDCell and Chemical Department on short notice you accepted our invitation and such a motivational speech. We hope in future when things will be all right, as you said, that you would like to come in a physical mode and have an interaction with the students. So we'll definitely do that in future. And I also like to thank once again for giving your valuable time and motivating our student. Whatever slides you have presented and the way you guided definitely will encourage our student to be an entrepreneur. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So it was a real privilege, and I was really happy. To be very honest, like I said, I come from the same background as these students have come up, and I faced a huge challenge to reach a point where today I can say I've been successful in whatever I have achieved. But it has been a great privilege, sir, to get invited to a institution like yours. And also, I would like to convey my thanks to Dr. Mane sir, Rajesh sir, and you personally for inviting me to this forum, and also to the students. They were really wonderful. I tried my best, as I know that it is difficult to engross them entirely, but I tried my best, and I'm very thankful to the students, the kind of interest and they have shown, and I'm quite sure that one day they would also be a part of getting such calls from forums where they can also share their experience, because it so happens that your individual experience, when it gets shared, it may spark motivation for others. And I wish all the best to all the students of KK who have joined this call, and you can contact me for any help whatsoever. I have my contact number. I forgot to mention it here, but Dr. Mane sir has it, and he also has my email ID. So I'm more than happy to help students in whatever possible way I can. Uh, and definitely we are looking forward for more further such catch-ups, and also help students to achieve their goal. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, once again. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I end this meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, students. Bye.